So we start that process. Thank you.
Yep, started.
Good morning, members. This is item 5.1, Thames Community Board grants, allocation of grant funding for 2022-2023. The purpose of the report is to consider applications in order to grant community groups in accordance with the grants policy. The recommendations in this report are stated for grant recipients are stated in number 2 in the cover report, and they total $74,033. In July 2022, we received applications for a community grant from 29 groups and there were 27 eligible applications. These were assessed against council and community outcomes. Today we have 3 options. Option 1 is 7 initiatives and projects that have high alignment with the outcomes and the community plan outcomes, and that totals $41,193, and that is recommended. Option 2 today includes 11 initiatives and projects. They total $38,754, and option 2 is also recommended. Option 3 includes 9 initiatives and projects, and the total is $163,614.15. Option 3 is not recommended. The suggested resolutions are $74,033 to be granted to options 1 and 2, with a total of $967 in savings, and that $5,491 be allocated to one project in option 1, as it is the only project eligible for this funding from the National Cultural Heritage Fund.
Right. So, Rose, how would you like to proceed with this? The recommendation.
So you could do it option by option, or how would you like to proceed?
Well, I'm in your hands, really.
So I've recommended options 1 and 2, which total $74,033 of the total 75,000 allocated, and in addition 5,491 from the Cultural Heritage Grant.
So,
Yep.
Can I just ask a question? So are all the community boards considering the grants in this fashion?
format.
I haven't been to the other community board meetings, but we do all use the council outcomes.
Right, I understand that. I'm just that, and I'm not saying this is not the way we should do it, because I can see it has some good some merit.
So this report has been done in accordance with the council policy, using the criteria in the policy, which is the council outcomes and community plan.
Right, and I understand that. I just wonder if we're going from the way it's been done previously, and again, not saying it was good or bad, but it's just different from how it's been done before, where we tend to consider each application separately. It seems to me that it's more of a done deal already, and I just would be interested in hearing other members' feedback about that.
Yep. Fine, Martin. Yep. Correct.
I actually agree with you, Martin. I feel like we've had it basically taken away from us and we've just been offered 3 options. However, the steering towards options is what is a little bit of a problem for me, because I think that we should have the opportunity to be able to assess every single one of them. And I thought that was what we were elected members to do. And not receive something that says, well, we like this one and this is how much money we're going to give. And that I kind of feel like not only are they being decided on, but it's also being decided how much money we're going to give as well.
So through the chair.
In perspective, I don't believe anyone's made any decisions, and what Rose has done has used the criteria that it has and assessed her views relating to what that criteria brings to the table in relationship to priorities or funding, and attempted to provide us with some sort of guidance in relationship to that criteria and our application. So I just simply put it like that, and it doesn't stop you going through as an individual. If you want to actually take the approach of going through individually, that would be fine. Or if you want to take the approach where you might be happy with some aspects relating to it, but unhappy about other aspects, and that would be fine as well. So I'm just looking for a process that might help you. Dean?
Yeah, just through the chair, I agree with everything that Strat said. Just to answer the first question that was raised, the community management team did a number of workshops through November and March. One of the things they've identified is that there is a difference in the way that grants and funding is used across the board. So there is a grants and funding project currently underway, but it is not concluded yet. And it's anticipated that all of the boards would adopt the outcome of that project. Rose is actually on that project. And the discussion we had a couple of months ago is, do we get ahead of ourselves and create something new, or do we do what we did last year for each of the board areas, wait for the outcome of the project and change for the new incoming boards? And so that's what we've decided to do. So there will be consistency moving forward, but for this year, the area managers have tried to be consistent with what they've done for the previous year. So if that gives you some confidence.
Okay. I mean, I know it's not set in stone, what Rose was given, and I didn't quite get to the finish of it, which I believe it's not set in stone. There is the opportunity to actually have a say on a few things. So I wasn't sort of going down the track of saying that you've just decided and that's it. I just.
No, definitely not.
I think.
So can I just, sorry, go Sally.
I was just thinking the old process of us doing a sort of almost like a lucky dip and deciding on a whiteboard and things. I think if we can progress from that, it's probably useful. I personally have two things that I feel disappointed about. One's in that I think perhaps doesn't have to be in there, and one's out that feels really important to me. So I don't quite know how we address those individual sort of things, or so that is part of the so I'm just interested in that.
Can I sort of suggest that, it's only a suggestion, is that at the moment you have in front of you a viewpoint that's based on the criteria, and that if we went around the board or table, would that be appropriate to sort of say, well, right, are there any variations or differences relating to what has been recommended? And so we hear all those, and then we try and accommodate the reasons behind whatever those differences might be, make good decisions, that type of thing. Or if you think that every application should go through one by one in terms of the recommendations here, and just align ourselves with those recommendations that Rose has presented, and if there are any ones in option 3 that need to be reconsidered, that haven't been considered, we talk about it. So whatever it might be. So should we go through each one? No? You think just go around the table and see if there's any differences relating to whatever that you I'm open for your suggestions.
Yeah, can I just ask a question? I understand the various criteria that have been used to assess these. But for instance, number 16, just as an example, 5 to 38,000, we're going to give them 12,770. So how was the criteria used to decide the percentage or how much of what they're applying for we're going to grant?
So through the chair, so it's a two-stage process. First of all, I assess against the criteria, And if they were in option 1 or 2, then I used the same model that we used last year for the projects initiatives that would require groups to raise the balance. So that is a 33% contribution. So you recall last year we contributed to 4 projects and they got 33%.
Well, my question is actually a little bit of a follow-up from that. So in table 5, which is on page 184 of the agenda, there are 2 groups there, the Youth Search and Rescue Trust and the Thames Coast Bowling Club, who've both asked, well, both said that the projects that they're going to have are 261,000 and 242,000 respectively. And so our grant is basically just a little drop in the bucket of what they actually need. And what I really don't want to see is us allocating that funding and then coming back to us in a year and having to give it back where it goes into a discretionary fund where it's lost to the community because they haven't been able to raise the rest of it. And so my, yes, that they've requested an amount from that. Their total costs are really high. Do we have confidence that that is going to be a good spend of our money?
So in regards to number 11, Thames Coast Bowling Club, they have raised all the funding.
Yeah.
They just need this little bit extra.
Yeah.
So they've undertaken a big project to replace their turf.
Yes.
And so this is towards the end of it. So they won't be, so the 2,850.
So thank you very much, Jenna, for sending around that email yesterday with all of the applications, because I did have trouble with it. So with the Youth Search and Rescue, when I had a look at that,
Yes.
you know, sponsorship grants, capital donations, all to be sourced. And so I'm
Yes.
just,
Come
So I
to
spoke
you.
to.
So Strat, can I've had my hand up for quite a while,
Yes.
Strat. Because what we're doing is we're talking about the process, but we're getting into some detail. I think that there's a couple of things that I'd like to note. One, we're talking about $80,000, right? So just it's not like we're talking about 8 million, we're talking about $80,000, but we know that it's really important to our community. The second thing is there's 29 applications that have come in, and what we have here is a good analysis. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's been a good analysis, bringing all the various things together and presenting it in some shape. Having listened to the comments that have been made, it seems to me that like Sally, like Robin, there are 2, 3, 5, maybe 8 or something that we don't agree with. And I'm wondering if we're better to talk about the ones we don't agree with rather than necessarily going through all 27 bit by bit by bit. Because at the end of the day, we're talking $80,000 and what have you. And do we just decide, okay, these are the 8 that we don't agree with for whatever reason? Let's talk about that. Should that one be in? Should it be out? Should we be giving them $5,000 when in fact they've got to raise 261 grand? And I mean, there's some obvious discussion around all those sorts of things. So that's what I'd like to suggest, that we look at the ones that in our own work on this that we've decided, I'm not comfortable with that.
Well, that's what I suggested
Yeah.
in the first place, Peter. So I'm hearing from you, Peter, that it's a way to go forward.
Yeah.
And is everyone happy with that process?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Shall I start?
Yeah.
Steve, just through the chat, just to let you know that Rose has arranged for Kelly Martin to be in the background, and so she has the spreadsheet.
oh, good.
And so if you decide a little bit less, a little bit more, or whatever, she'll be able to follow through with a running balance for you, just so you know that the housekeeping is taken care of.
My 2 ones is we're thinking of giving Monetary School some for their 50th. To me, it's a whole issue around schools and the enormous need, and some schools are better than others. So that's a question mark for me about them. And
Just to clarify, the Monetary School received a grant last year for board hire for their 50th anniversary celebration. This year, they applied for something else.
They want to build a mural, engage a local artist.
Yes, that's right. And so,
And
so that's, so I got the wrong thing, but that's what I'm wondering.
No,
about.
but it is to celebrate the 50th anniversary.
Yes.
You are correct.
That's the one I have a question mark about, and the, just, you know, and it reinforced this morning, I think, if we were to find a better example of how our community has linked with mana whenua and actually done something to further those relationships, it would be the museum. And that's, I think they have been transformational in these last few years. And for us not to help them somehow with their cabinets, even if the cabinets don't quite meet the criteria, is a disappointment for me.
I wholeheartedly
Yes,
agree.
Peter.
Yes, Strat, could I suggest that we do what Sally's just done, that we capture it before Rose, before you provide feedback on the thing, just so we can capture what everybody is thinking rather,
Yeah, so that's me.
okay, cool.
So by capture, go around the board and say, do you agree with Sally or not? Is that what you want?
No.
Well,
What I'm suggesting, I'll put on the table the ones that I have concern about. I have, and
That's
then-
what we're doing.
yeah,
Can we just let
but
us get around the table?
but without the commentary from Rose, if we can just say what we're thinking at this point.
Yes, that's what we're doing, Peter. We're going around the table.
I know, but he's saying about not commenting.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, sure. You're.
So having a look at these, there's some that are recommended to get some quite substantial funding. Number 6 and number 16, just 2 that I've highlighted. And Thames Tumble Tots getting nothing. And that, I think we had this conversation last year where I thought Thames Tumble Tots, whether they fit the criteria or not, it's a small amount that we're asking. And I think it's a really pivotal thing for little children, babies, to be able to learn to do stuff. They're not asking a lot, and yet these other 2 are getting quite substantial amounts.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Somebody recording this?
I believe that's what Kelly's doing.
Kelly's doing that at this stage. That's good. Peter?
Yep, sure. Number 8, the youth search and rescue. Basically the case that Robin said, it's a small amount and a large thing. And secondly, in reading the application, I could see nothing that indicated that this was going to specifically be related to Thames. I think it was more related to the district, but there was no undertaking anywhere that $5,000 was specifically for our community. The second one is the other one that Robin raised, the Thames Bowling Club, 2,850 in the context of a very large project. And the third one I have concern about is that we're not offering anything to the museum, and I'm same argument as Sally on that one. So those are the 3 that I have concern about.
Thank you, Peter. Martin?
Okay, so number 5, I'm aware that, so there's number 5 and then it goes 6 and 7 and then number 5 again. So there's the grant from the Natural and Cultural Heritage of 5.9. They were the only one that applied. But then we're also saying 9,086 to take it up to 15,000 for painting the historic railway station. I think that's too much. I agree about the youth search and rescue. I struggle a little bit with number 11, the Thames Coast Bowling Club. When I look and see their ability to earn income with their, they have gaming machines and all sorts of other stuff. So they have the ability to generate income, whereas some of these groups like for instance, the tumble tots, don't have the ability to generate income. So I'm not overly happy about number 11. Where are we? Number 15, the Waitatari School. I would support the $600 for the local artist, but I wouldn't support the $1,600 to install it. I think that should be 600 rather than 1,600. And then number 20, tumble tots. So tumble tots. I went in to do some work in the Civic a little while back and actually saw that group in action, and I don't want to get all emotional, but it was quite joyful. I spent a few minutes sitting watching. I would support the Thames Museum for the cabinets. I'm a little disappointed in number 24 with the community centre with the driving. I know at least a couple of the volunteers that work there doing that, and that to me is hugely beneficial to the community and keeping young people out of the criminal justice system. And number 20, I agree with number 27. Honestly, we're not agreeing with. Yeah, I think the Waitatari School one about the water fountains, that's should be in their 5Y property plan for replacement. They should have been keeping funds aside for aviation to pay for those. So, yeah, that's me. Sorry, there were so many.
Yeah, a few there, but extremely relevant. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I agree with what Sally was saying about the mural at Waitatari School. I raised my concerns about the small amount of funding that the Youth Search and Rescue Trust want. I would need proof of their ability to deliver on that. And I didn't pick up I didn't read that particular application, so I didn't pick up that it wasn't particularly Thames focused. I would really like to see tumble tots supported because they do a very good job. And it's a group of dedicated volunteers who turn up with their kids, and I just think that's fantastic. And Thames Museum, we need to put our money where our mouth is in supporting them. That's it.
Thank you, Robin. Sheree?
Okay, so again, I've got the same issue with youth search and rescue. I have an issue with the Thames Business Association. I've read and looked at what was provided in terms of the TBA. I can't add it up to 7,228. It only comes up to 4,078. I don't know why or what is the idea behind doing leaflets about Porritt Park. And the next thing is the TBA again trying to shift into the event space. The Kauranga Hall is another one that I wonder about. And it's just to do with, obviously, there's certain funding that actually comes to the Kauranga Hall. And I now want to know what the operational funding as such is it a health and safety issue, or has there been an interruption to the operation at the hall to be needing those pipes done? And then the ones that I'd like to support is Thames Community Centre, because I think that the young kids do need that driving lessons and help. The museum, tumble tots, but I'd also like to talk about the drinking fountain at Waitatari School. I just think that when you've got drinking fountains that you've been using for 50 years, and just knowing what I sort of know around the ministry and the fact that there's not that much money, could we not support somewhere for Waitatari School to actually be able to upgrade some of their drinking fountains? Because we are talking about our kids, the kids that are here. And if they can't get the money from the ministry, where else do they go? You know, if they can't get it from somewhere, I suspect their parents are part of, they're all part of our community. So, and that's all I've got to say.
Sorry, could I add also the community centre and the museum? Those are the other two that I'd like to see get something.
All right, I'm happy with the concerns that have been spread around. I did have a question mark relating to Thames Business Association in the addition, like you. I had, certainly I wanted to support the museum, the youth search and rescue. I had some concerns there in relationship to the substance of that initiative, knowing that the senior search and rescue exists, and I'm not quite sure how that links in with that group, that establishment, and whether there's a linkage relating to youth search and rescue and the good that it will do for the area versus, search and rescue that does good in relationship to what we have in our community. So I just have some question marks relating to that. Thames Coast Bowling Club, have they got a bar out there, or whatever, or, that early or means, unfortunately, we used to get financial information and balance sheets relating to all of these applications, and that gave us a little bit of a guide as to whether we had money in the bank or didn't, and so forth. Actually quite useful, Rose. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. By Tumble Tots, I think it is a group that needs to be supported. I've said the Thames Museum. The Caramel Horse Society, I think there was a question mark there, and I know the incredible work that they do now for our community with the music events there and the establishment of regular events through the hall is a huge thing. And no doubt a lot of the works there relates to that replacement in terms of old existing sewer drains that might exist and the increased use of the hall. So I see that as public work. And Monetary School, I'm happy to support a new fountain there if that's possible. In the wash up of it, I just did have a question in the relationship between the Ministry Property Account and that requirement. No doubt they've made an application for it because maybe not, so it might not have satisfied the Ministry.
And we've got about 12 schools in our area.
Yeah, so it's a pretty essential item. So is that. So yeah, that sums me up. Thank you. Having established all of that, we probably have, 8 or 9 groupings of different concerns and how we might.
I can comment, because I took notes. But a lot of the ones that were mentioned are actually recommended already, and you supported them as you went around. There are a few that stood out to me where they weren't recommended, so I'll just go through those. The museum. There's quite a lot of support around the table for the museum project. I can comment on the why youth search and rescue, which is number 8. So that came up as one that you're querying, that was recommended. So that one, of course, investigated. I phoned the applicant, and I also phoned the local youth search and rescue just to make sure that they're aware of it. Their committee is working with the applicant. And so there is a demand, and yes, it is a district-wide project, but this 5,000 is for, it's from Thames Community Board, so the idea is that it benefits the Thames youth. The demand is also from the Coast Guard and Fire Brigade, and so the comments were made from the Coast Guard and Fire Brigade to youth search and rescue. So they're working with a group that's already doing it for youth, providing youth search and rescue, in order to try and get it set up here.
Can I just add to that? There's a strong link between giving them young people the experience of those sort of things, whether it's fire brigade or whether it's search and rescue. Learning skills on the radio, learning skills in English. Huge thing. But anyway, yep. Great. Thank you.
Okay, Thames Coast Bowling Club came up a few times in that It didn't sound like there's a lot of support for the
Vacuum cleaner.
project. So that one, the mural. So that's one that's recommended. So
I think that was around the amount though, wasn't it?
that's already recommended.
No, I think you were the only person who supported the mural. Sorry.
Supported the
No, that's-
You're supporting the $600.
Yeah.
So should we talk about that one then, the mural?
To me, that's a nice to have rather than a must have. And I don't, and so I don't support us giving them anything for that. And I really worry about the equity of helping ARC school with water supply when we have so many on our in our area, and they potentially, some schools that I know have much less family and whānau ability to do this kind of stuff. And so to me, if we were going to do water fountains for Monotiri, we're opening up avalanche of need within schools for safe water.
And I note, actually, having read their application while you guys were talking, that they actually do have 2 new water fountains that have drink bottle fillers, so they're not totally without. They're just seeking to take 3 more. So.
And every classroom has a tap and a sink.
So I guess what I want to ask then is, should we support any school or no school? Because we're going to do a garden for Matatoki of $4,000.
Yeah.
Does that make it different?
Yes, it does actually, because to me that is, and I'm keeping the floor and I promised I wasn't going to do that. To me, a garden is about kids learning about growing stuff, taking food home, involving whole families in that school set. And so I see that as different than the basic responsibility of a school to provide water. So that's how I differentiate.
I think they're also going to use that Kai for the women's refuge, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Thames South School applicant.
Yeah.
The basket application.
So in terms of number 15, mural, everyone can see, well, I'm hearing really mixed messages, so we need to get to a decision on the mural. So the mural is $600 to be the artist to produce a 2x2 mural, and to mount it, the mounting is $1,635.
So I'm saying nothing.
I'm seconding that, nothing.
I'm in the camp as well, nothing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I'll go with it.
So we could pretty much give that to tumble tots.
Mm.
oh, yeah.
About the same amount,
What a
That was
pity.
just double tops.
1,680.
Well, we could do that, or we could wait to see if there's anything else surplus for things like the museum.
Okay, so should we talk about the museum then?
Okay.
Just a procedural question through the chair, now that everyone's shared their thoughts. So we want Kelly to capture where those changes are now. So for example, delete out number 15 and return that to balance.
Yes.
We'll delete out number 15 and place the full 1680 onto tumble tops, and then we'll have a negative balance which will work out later on.
I would prefer it to go into balance, so then we know we've got 4,000 and we've got X priorities, and then we go with that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Makes good sense, yes.
Yeah.
So heading down, return to balance, and then we'll reallocate from that in terms of priorities.
Okay.
We all agree that, well, no, that's you, Rose.
Yeah, so should we talk about museum next, because that came up quite a bit.
How much was the application for the museum?
6,000.
6,000.
Okay, 6,000,
And they need it.
nearly 7,000.
6,000. Purchase 2 cabinets to replace a 3-metre long cabinet that displays gold mining artefacts. And purchase a cabinet for the school's display, which is the school uniforms. 6,000.
I personally think that we could give them a portion of that, however much, and it's more an acknowledgement than an actual, because you could actually go to Pub Charities or something for an actual cabinet that you can get several quotes on and apply. So to me, we don't have to, I want to give them something, and I don't think we need to give them the 6 because we haven't got it.
Or half.
It's actually 6,500.
Do those numbers add up?
No, they don't. I'm sure it was just,
No, that's the application form.
oh, okay.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's just they've got the total cost of 15,799.
Yeah, it's all off the application form. So any other discussion on Billy's suggestion?
Well, I'm just wondering whether some of the others we cut back on, because some of them are getting quite a substantial amount.
Well,
So,
sorry.
yeah, so I'll just comment on that because it's come up a couple of times. So the amount for a, like, for example, the equipment, which is mentioned in the report, is 33% of the cost. So it's 12,700, which is 33% of the cost. The Ngāti Maru painting project, so the cost is 99,000. However, they didn't apply for 33%, and we can't grant more than they applied for.
Right.
So the recommendation is the 9,600, I'll just get that correct, 9,086 dollars from the Community Grants Fund.
I'm actually not even thinking about that.
And
No,
5,900, which totals 15,000, which is what they applied for.
I'm looking at number 6, Never Surrender, and 2 Waka.
Don't surrender, so they have applied for some equipment for boxing for the young people with the programs.
So that,
So what normally funds never surrender.
Themselves.
Well, I just wanted to return back to the Youth Search and Rescue Trust because it didn't feel when we went around like there was a lot of love for them. And I just wonder, you know, if we made a decision that we decided not to fund them, and that may be a decision that we come to, whether that would solve the issue of where else we could put funding towards the things that I heard that you wanted to support, like the museum. And much as I can't say anything because I'm a trustee there, I did hear some support for the community centre. So I wonder if that's a conversation that we need to tackle, like what about the youth?
Why SAR?
Yeah, because if we're taking them out, then we've got a chunk of money that we can then distribute.
So how does everyone feel about not funding that one?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I'm a bit weary about outside organisations that are coming in and getting our funding.
I think I would go along with Cheryl on that. I think just because we've got quite a few cadet sort of places here, like St John's, they've got a cadet a cadetship type thing.
Yeah, Air Corps is a
And
good start
air,
again.
air training and, you know, the fire brigade. We've got quite a bit that's going on for youth. To bring another one in is what's going to happen. Are we going to deplete one somewhere else because they're going to move over to the next one, or are we going to entice more kids into it, or are we going to get a program that we're not going to get many at? I just wonder if it would be like that.
Peter is just.
Is there agreement?
I wonder if he's got an opinion.
Or do we have agreement on why SAR? This is moving that to the not recommended group? Okay, so
Everybody else is going to come up with.
is everyone in agreement?
those.
I agree.
Yeah, we're agreeable.
Okay, so in summary then, our balances are $6,635, which is monetary school $1,635 and youth secondary school $5,000. As I've said, it's a total of $6,635.
So would it be appropriate at this point to,
Are there any others that we want to out? Because let's take everything out and then we can put in.
okay,
Yeah, thank you. Thamesco Bowling Club.
Yeah, I think they can make it that way. They've got the bar, they've got the membership, they've
Yeah,
got.
they've just somehow got themselves $245,000, which is a huge achievement. And they want $2,500 for a fancy vacuum cleaner to keep it clean. Part of me thinks that we don't support the coast a lot at all.
Yeah.
But whether we give them 1,000 or 1,500 or something to give us another 1,000 in our pot to redistribute. But
Rose, is it correct in thinking that that money that they've got, that's just their retained earnings, or they've been actively saving up that money to be able to do their resurfacing work?
They got grants from major funders and they use some of their own funding.
Because they still had 200,000 odd a couple of years ago. So they've just
So
been
saved their,
building that
some
up.
of their own savings. I believe they got about a $30,000 or $40,000 grant from one of the big funders towards it. Yes, and I think in the attachment at the back, there might be some notes on it.
can help.
I might have, noted where they got.
Yeah, I think half. That would be what? 1,400?
They're going to pay out a lot of money to redo their.
they've already done that, haven't they?
I know.
Yeah.
Then why didn't they plan for this cost?
It was hard to know, I suppose. That maybe once it all went down and that, then they sort of realised, God,
The bowling club won't, if we don't give them the money, the bowling club won't shut down. So, like, I'm not going to die in a ditch over it, but I just think that meeting place of that bowling club is really central to the connectivity of Te Puru, and they do a really good job, and that's where things happen.
It's more than a bowling club, isn't it? I mean, it's a.
Yeah.
it's more than a bowling club, yeah.
It's the Defence HQ and we have an
Yeah.
emergency. It's more than services the community when there is a need.
But they will probably still get their vacuum cleaner even if we don't do it. So it's a lower priority for me than some of the others.
Maybe it could be in the washer.
1,000?
Yeah,
what are we giving them at the moment?
2,800, I reckon 1,400, that 50%, they'll feel a bit less.
1,400, you right?
14, going. 1,400 or nothing?
1,400.
I'll say nothing.
1,400.
Do you need to show of hands, Sally? 14.
Yeah, 1,400,
No.
nothing. 2. So we're giving them 1,400? Sorry, I'm just trying to
Speed it up.
We can make it 1,350, then you'll be returning.
Peter, is your hand up to say something or just vote?
Okay.
I was voting for nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 1,400.
Oh, no.
We'll go 1,350, and then that will return 1,500 to the
1,500.
balance.
Yeah.
1,500.
1,350, okay.
We're doing well, team.
We are.
So the rest of them, everyone's satisfied with?
I had that question around the TBA.
Peter.
Yeah.
Peter, can I ask you for a comment on the usefulness of leaflet drop to help advertise and inform our community about the Porritt Park development?
I think anybody who's been on the election campaign could probably answer that question for you, Sally, because quite a few people do letterbox drops and they do it for a good reason because it gets a message out there. And for the Porritt Park thing, the getting the community engaged and being able to point to that level of engagement is really important to the benefactor who's providing the bulk of the money. So part of getting the community engaged is that the kind of thing that's being suggested. And alongside that will be some fundraising stuff that will come from those people. So the overall project, it's community engagement is an important part for the benefactor. And so for that reason, I'd support whatever TBA is trying to do to engage with the community.
How much is it?
No figures.
That's, 7,000.
7228.
But so there,
7,228.
but that says beach hop flyers, organising a Santa Dash, traffic management for the Santa Parade, trophies, events and prizes for after the Santa Parade, and then the leaflet drop on top of that. So it's all together.
Correct.
But there's no figure for just the leaflet.
But the others in total come to nearly 4,000.
Yeah, so it's like $3,000.
So how,
Leaflet drop.
Leaflet drops 2,250.
2,250. How about we give them 1,000 for that, and that gives us 1,250. I'm just making things up as I go along, so.
I just question whether it needs to be done at this time. Like I go along with the centre as Dash and the beach hops and the support for the road closure, but I just wonder, does it need to be done? Do we need to have a leaflet drop? Can't we use the newspapers?
Well, you'd have to pay for the newspaper.
I don't know.
I've got an issue regarding the total there, it's $5,958. So
total,
$1,228.
yeah, so the total, that 7,228 is from the application form.
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
And the 2,250, it should be for the leaflets. Martin's just confirmed that.
So if you made it 6,000 instead of 7,228,
It just doesn't add up.
so it's taking 1,200 off it.
It's $470 for the leaflet drop, is it?
Do you want us to do that?
I
Did
think
you get it up on the screen?
what's needed is it just needs to be edited up properly.
Yes.
Sheree would like us to look at the
Ah.
application. Number 4.
I guess someone asked before about the significance of someone asked Peter about the significance of the leaflet drop for engagement for Porritt Park.
Yes.
I guess I'm still not really understand, and I think Peter answered it by saying about election leaflet drops, but I'm really not sure what particular engagement we're seeking, because we're engaging with, the group's engaging with schools and the business owners and stuff, and I'm just not sure what this additional engagement of sending something to every single household, what we're actually looking for.
And I presume that was
PTA is looking for, whether they want to.
part of their comms plan. Do you want to comment on that, Peter? Like, that was part of their plan. If we don't agree with it, well, then, we don't have to fund that part of it. I just think that, we're here getting, to me, an example of what's going to be really important going into the future is that the Porritt Park Steering Group, of which I'm one of them, is well linked into this community board so that it's well understood what's going on and the whys, because I think this discussion shows an example of fragmentation of understanding, and I think that needs to be addressed. That would be what I'm reading in the room. Yeah. And Peter might have an opinion about that.
So on the steering group, it is clear that the Thames Business Association has taken on the responsibility at the request of the benefactor to ensure that the engagement happens with the Thames community. So the Thames Business Association have been doing quite a few different things. They've been, doing stuff on Facebook and what have you. They've got a plan with schools and doing stuff with schools and with businesses, but they are also wanting to reach the wide community as far as they can. And as I say, just like on an election campaign, people use radio, people use print media, people use posters, and people use leaflets, which they drop in letterboxes. I guess it's no different for the Thames Business Association. They're doing Facebook, calling on businesses, etc., etc. So it's, in my mind, it's absolutely a valid activity from the Thames Business Association with their mandate to ensure that there is good engagement with the community. And I would say again that has been one of the things that the benefactor has said, that he said, I don't want this to be something that is just being done. I want the community to be right behind it and to be, involved in it and wanting. And that's all part of what TBA is doing in their community engagement thing. Now, if you want more detail, I think we need to get, TBA. Sorry.
No, I just want, because part of me is thinking, yeah, absolutely. And part of, and this is probably not even a question that necessarily goes with whether we fund it or not. But I'm just curious as to what they're hoping to achieve. You say that they want engagement with a wide variety of people, which is all good. But what is the substance of this leaflet going to be? Is it going to be this is what we're doing, here's an opportunity to have your say? Is it this is what we've done? I just, that's the bit I'm struggling with.
Sure. Okay. So
the
intention of engaging with the community is to get the input from the community, to raise funds from the community, in other words, give the community opportunity to contribute to the park and what's going to go on there, to ensure that the community are aware of what's being thought about and so on. So part of it's just communication, but part of it is also to outline how the community can be involved in having influence, how the community can be involved in providing funding for it.
Yeah. I'm not 100% convinced that a leaflet drop is going to achieve that, but that's no.
Well.
Strike
okay.
it off the record. It's not relevant. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it might be relevant in terms of your decision about funding it or not. So you have a right to think about that. And what are we saying, that the cost of it is
2,250.
2,250. So as far as I'm concerned, around this table, we have to make a decision, Strat, about whether we fund that, whether we fund none, or whether we fund part. To me, it's the decision we have to make.
But it said provide information or a public engagement exercise to households and businesses. We wouldn't be arguing about this at all, because it's only that it says leaflets to households that we're even talking, because I think we can all agree that the engagement is absolutely good and that's what we want to be behind, yeah?
Well, the way I've said, you're only partially funding it anyway, because if you're realising the full allocation of $750, the $250, the 29788 for Santa Parade, and the $1,000 for South School after Santa Parade, then that's $5,958. The difference is $1,270 to make up the $7,228. To me, the leaflet has only been partially subsidised by $1,270, not $2,250. So
Okay.
it's already a partial subsidy.
So Rose, just to clarify, we can't actually, if we give them X number of dollars, we can't say, but you must spend that on the beach hop flyers and not the Porritt Park flyers. Yep. Presumably we can't get really specific about what parts within that.
Yeah, but they've provided a budget, and when you have the accountability for the budget, you have to say how you spent it. So they have to come back to us at the accountability stage and say, here's the receipt that shows that I spent $750 on this and not 1,000 or whatever. So they have to, there is an accountability process for that.
But
anyway, I'm just going to jump in there and say I don't want to give them the money for the leaflets.
So I'm just reading off the application form. It says Porritt Park flyers for a leaflet drop and to provide copies to each business, design, production, distribution, 2,250. That's quoted from the application.
Okay. I'm not doing that.
So you're not paying for the full $2,250.
Yep.
according to the addition of what you are paying for and the difference. Am I right in saying that, Peter?
I'm not clear what you said, Steph.
Well, what I'm saying is that you're providing funding for the hop flyers, the beach hop flyers of $750. You're providing funding for the Santa Dash, $250. You're providing funding for the traffic management, $2,978. And you're providing funding for the South School After Santa Parade of $1,000. If you add all those up, it adds to $5,958. Think?
No,
No,
Or
It adds up to 4,978.
4,000, is it? Okay.
Let's fund them that then.
Well,
Well, you're absolutely right. You are fully funding the leaflet drop of 2,000.
yeah. I take it in the fourth.
So is everyone in agreement with that?
What?
Or do we still? Okay, so
give them 5.
I guess I just need to be clear on who supports the leaflet drop. I know Peter does. Anyone else?
I do as well.
I support that I could drop it a little bit.
yeah, I support providing them with funding to do some public engagement awareness, whether that's a leaflet or whether they spend it on.
So I'd say 1,500, or so that gives us $750 to add to our balance.
And just being devil's advocate for a second. Potentially somebody could say, why are you funding the TBA,
Yeah.
ostensibly a business association, to do community consult, to do wider community consultation? Isn't that the council's job?
Well, in this particular thing, there is a partnership,
I understand, I'm just.
and
helping.
and it's not fully understood around this table what role TBA plays. We've not got another project with a benefactor who's private as opposed to the government like Kopu. So it is different.
So I understand the benefactor wanted the TBA to be the lead agency on this, am I right?
Yes,
Yes. The engagement.
For, yeah, for,
Yeah.
There is a steering group, which
Yeah.
Peter chairs.
and I'm on.
Is involved, yeah.
okay, so we're giving them some money. There are people who don't want all of the leaflets funded. There are some of us who do want them funded, and we're prepared to compromise on how much we fund them, yeah?
I don't know. That's what we need to put to the vote.
Okay.
Okay, so who supports the 2,250 for the leaflets?
I
Which
do.
is, as per the application form.
I do, because I don't know whether that's behind the balance otherwise.
Is there a conflict of interest here?
No,
There's not,
neither Peter or I are on the business association.
so it's
I'm
another.
a member of the business association, but I'm not on the committee or a trustee.
Yeah.
But Peter is our liaison with the,
So you would expect.
so we'd expect him to go to person.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
So Cherie's saying nothing. How many votes for Cherie's position?
Nothing for the leaflets. We're just talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
So
So that's 2.
2 for nothing.
Peter, are you advocating for the full amount as Stratters?
Yes, I am.
Right.
It's 2 and 2.
1,000? We got any
So
support for
that's 2
1,000?
and 2.
1,500.
And I'm going for 1,500.
two.
3. 3.
Okay, so not 3.
Because I think, and I absolutely agree with the project and I love it, but I think we have got to develop a balance to do some other things we want to do. So I can imagine I'm going to get told off, but
So that gives us another 750.
that gives us another 750, which is useful.
Just questioning where the difference in the funding is going to come from. If the cost is
Well, they're gonna
$2,250,
Wasn't there some talk of fundraising?
Or perhaps their distribution has to be more just Thames focused and not up the coast, or I don't know.
Well, they tweak their trophies and prizes, they tweak their additional contingency,
Yeah,
they tweak their beach hop flyers.
Yeah, were they going to post them or deliver them?
got no idea.
Like, they're applying for funding for a specific thing. It's not.
They can't tweak anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so I've got that brings it down to $6,478.50. with
Okay.
750 added to the pot.
So that brings it to what, 6,000?
And 27 cents.
No, Martin, shush. Don't be like that.
So we've got a total
Of
eight,
9852,
no,
9852, including the 967 savings.
Right,
did you get?
9852 in savings.
Oh, okay, so,
I thought we had,
but this 100 surplus that allocated, so
From the savings, that's from the resolution.
all right, okay.
we'll end up with more money.
And that's the one.
and then we'll have to decide who we get back to. Yeah, no.
Oh, that's sentence.
So it's just,
So just to summarise the report, Thames Business Association, the amount they requested was $7,228.50. I have subtracted $750 from that, which brings the total to $6,478.50.
Yeah,
Cool.
Very good. Yeah.
And Kelly's checking on all this as well, so we've got two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So is the next one to talk about Rose number 5?
Number 5.
which is,
Ngāti Maru Railway Station.
It was only raised by you, Martin.
Oh, was it only raised by me?
Yeah, well, I spot it.
So probably not that, because I
Yeah.
don't know, but the other one that was raised a couple of times was tumble tots.
yeah, I think we should give Tumble Tots.
What, yeah, agree.
I'll just touch on tumble tots.
Mm,
They have a residual grant from this year. When I say residual grant, last year, their grant was used for bookings of the Civic Centre. And because of the restrictions on gathering, they didn't use all the funding. So Larissa has agreed upon your approval, which she gave for tumble tots, to use up their bookings. So they have a figure of, let me just find it. Got it written down.
So, what, you'll
Yeah.
get to that with the figure in a moment, but what you're saying is that they've applied, they've applied for the 1,680, but they actually already have a residual amount of how much? 930. So if we only partially funded them, they would have enough to continue for the year, yeah?
Do you want to do that?
And that's really just one part of council
yeah,
giving to another.
yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Because I don't think we actually give the money, we actually just, we pay ourselves for the.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
It's just an internal.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Which is important.
Yeah.
So how much does that give us more into our balance?
I'll just do the calculation, 1680 minus what they have left, which is 930. That means there's a grant of 750.
Okay, and that's going to be enough to get them 12 months worth of
Yes, it will.
hireage.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, that's good.
fantastic.
So we're saving how much?
Now,
Yeah,
no, 700, isn't
We're not saving any. What we're doing is we're giving them not 1680, but we're giving
We-
them
but
500.
I mean,
and
in terms of grant money that we have to reallocate.
Yeah. Paul.
So we saved some by taking
Oh,
bits away from all the others and now we're spending the bit that we've
yeah,
saved.
we need to be really careful with this, so.
So if you give them seven, so at the moment you've got 8885. So if you give them 750, you'll still have 8135.
Okay.
And the museum number 21 was the other thing that was
Yeah.
strongly considered. And then 24, the community centre was
Yeah.
less strongly considered.
So,
We can give the museum what they've asked for, which will leave us with 2,135 to give to the community centre.
6,000. No, the TV's on 6,000.
Do we,
split it in half.
And half.
or do we split?
The
We split it?
Centre needs 6,000 as well.
And they're both-
They will always want, they can always do more. So, like when I've put in many applications in my time and I put in for what
I'm just saying, if they wanted 6 and the museum wanted 6 and we've only got, what, 8, let's split it in half and 4 and 4.
Yeah, good idea.
that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I got some.
That's okay, as long as no one else has another good idea about something else they'd like to top up.
So was that 4 and 4?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the balance.
So that the museum gets 4,000 and the community centre for car license, for young people getting their car licences 4 each, which then Dean will tell us we've got a balance of.
135.
Paying for her licence.
We don't want to have any money left. Get rid of it all.
I believe so. Yep, I think it does, doesn't it? Can do still exists.
What is this?
The community can do, is that?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Warren's fly.
The Can-Do runs the
Yeah,
expo.
it's not called that anymore, is it?
Yes, it was called the
Can-Do
Can-Do.
Expo, yeah.
Okay. I thought Sue called it something else when I was talking to her.
So is there any merit in leaving that couple of
$135,
hundred
no.
there, or do we just get rid of it? Do we just,
Spend it.
Chuck it at the leaflets with the rest of it.
I mean, potentially,
$100.
if any of us comes, whoever comes back, there may be people that can't do their things and we may have some leftover money that way anyway, don't we usually?
Yeah, just through the chair, my understanding is that it will be with retained earnings.
Yeah.
Council
for
retained
next year.
earnings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
fuck it up.
So it won't necessarily jump straight to discretionary line that you can allocate.
Found it.
So can we put 135 into the TBA for the
Yes.
thingies?
Yeah,
So any residual balance will put to the leaflets for the TBA.
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Cool, cool,
One, vote.
cool. Well done. All right.
Don't overthink, Martin. I can feel it coming over here, your brain's coming out of your skull.
Lunchtime.
It's so cute. No, that's not a put down,
Oh, right,
it's a
okay.
compliment. I love how your brain works.
Did you see the Robin Malcolm documentary last night?
No, I saved it.
Watch it.
I've saved it. I'm past watching ads now. So I save everything and then I can just flick through the ads.
It's supposed to be a really good one on 3 about the boat that I turned up in Northland and the rescue, but 5 of them died.
Oh,
They
right.
couldn't rescue 5, but it's been turned into a documentary. And they say it's really, really good.
I'd just like to, we've got to move a resolution about this and they're still working, but I think that Rose did an exemplary job in getting us this close and that we've spent an hour and a bit on it, but it's been really well considered. So when she's got time to think, we should give her a round of applause.
I think that it's actually quite cool that we've all landed in the same place.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Because
is.
everybody around this table all went to the museum. You know, I mean, it's quite,
Yeah.
I think we're all sort of tracking the right way.
Yep. So it's all about.
When we
And-
could have trimmed down the things, making the things fit.
Sorry, Peter's got something.
And Cherie, it's only taken us 3 years to get there. We were kind of all basically on the same page. 3 years. We should carry on.
Onwards and upwards, Ben.
Well, onwards and upwards, exactly.
Just had a little glitch, so Jenna's taking over.
Technically, I'm your dog.
So Thames Museum Society, let's confirm that one.
We'll just talk amongst ourselves, it's all good.
No, I think we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cherie, you can take that.
I'm timing you, no.
We've done that.
I think what they're trying to do,
We'll just bring this well.
yeah,
We'll take a 5-minute recess and.
When's lunch?
1 o'clock.
All right.
Yep, so we,
And while, can I just say, are we off recording? At 1 o'clock,